Hello everyone, Curious Corduroy here, and we got some small but rather interesting updates in regards to Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, which I think from now on I'll just refer to the game as Crisis Core Reunion. The full title is a little bit of a mouthful, and come on, we all know what game we're talking about here. However, over at the Final Fantasy VII Twitter page, they posted a few tidbits in regards to the Crisis Core remaster, some of which we already knew. One detail in particular we did not know, and it was rather interesting, so I really wanted to cover all of this stuff as soon as possible, so we'll just go ahead and get into it. The first thing is improved camera and character movements. So obviously playing the original Crisis Core on a PSP wasn't the easiest, most user-friendly experience, because on the PSP, you're very limited with your controls. You have the D-pad, 2 shoulder buttons, your face buttons, and then 1 analog stick, which could make traversing and even combat a little complicated because you're trying your best to move Zack around, but also manage your camera, and then use the D-pad to select things on that little bar menu on the lower right hand corner of the screen. So nowadays with current tech, we can obviously improve all of the controls. So I would expect Zack to feel a little bit lighter, maybe something akin to 7 Remake in the way he feels, and also being able to have those 2 analog sticks so we can finally move fluidly, not just the character, but the camera will be really, really nice. Up next is the optimized UI. So this is stuff we can see in screenshots as well as the trailer. The UI itself is very, very cleaned up. The original game wasn't really all that cluttered, but it did have some fancy graphics here and there. But we can see from the UI here, the DMW has been streamlined. Your health, MP, and AP gauges have also been streamlined, as well as that lower right-hand bar, which has things like materia and potion. That's all been cleaned up and streamlined. It actually looks a little bit more in line with what we saw in Final Fantasy VII Remake, with the choice of blue and even some of the icons looking a little bit familiar. Now here's the one that stuck out to me the most: a new menu-based battle system. So in the original Crisis Core, obviously you had your little command menu thing in the lower right-hand corner, if you want to call it that. That's where your attack option was, your command materia options, your elemental materials, as well as items. Everything was housed there, and you would use the D-pad to cycle back and forth between them to select whatever it is that you wanted to do, which kind of caused a little bit of a delay in Zack's attack speed and movements. I think because it was its own separate button that you actually had to move your cursor to, that kept Zack from feeling much more fluid than he should have. I remember there was moments where you would hit the attack button and you'd have to wait for Zack to finish the animation of him swinging his sword before you could do it again. And oddly enough, this is just how my stupid brain works. When I played Crisis Core back in the day, I didn't mind combat at first, but once you acquired the Buster Sword, combat felt so much better. And the funny thing is, the combat did not change at all. Something as simple as Zack going from a standard soldier sword to a Buster Sword completely improved the combat for me, because my brain is like, yeah, now you're using the Buster Sword. Now shit is real. This is what I wanted. So it's kind of funny, once you got that Buster Sword, that delay wasn't really that big of an issue anymore. However, menu-based, this is really exciting. Is this going to be menu-based a la Kingdom Hearts, which I really hope it's not? That one where you have your menu pop up and then you have to use the D-pad, which is, I guess, kind of similar to how Crisis Core was back in the day. But with Kingdom Hearts, it was very, very anxiety-inducing for me, because I'm trying to move around the battlefield as Sora while also bringing up my menu and selecting, a spell or an item that I wanted to use. It was a bit too much for me, and it would eventually lead to those moments where you would need to use a potion. Sora would throw it up in the air, and before the animation could finish where the potion would land on you, you would inevitably get hit by an attack and die. So I'm hoping it's not that type of menu-based system. I'm really hoping it's something akin to Final Fantasy VII Remake. The Remake battle system is phenomenal, and it definitely took Square some years to really create and fine-tune that system, and I would love to see it transferred over to Crisis Core. Being able to bring up that command menu and slow down time to a crawl, so that way you actually have time to pick your attack and your abilities, your spells, your items, and even your summon and limit breaks. That is all really, really nice. And the combat itself in that game feels amazing. Everyone feels fast and fluid. Combos flow together really nicely. Combos with special abilities, combos with magic, combos into limit breaks. All of that feels really, really wonderful. And I really hope that they can bring as much of that over to Crisis Core as possible. I think a game like Crisis Core with the combat and menu styles of 7 Remake would just be a completely new experience to actually play through, and it would make combat so much more fun. So they haven't given too many details at the moment in regards to that new menu-based battle system, but I'm hoping within the next, few months we'll get another trailer and maybe another deep dive into this game, and maybe Square will actually let us in on what this new menu-based battle system is. Up next is the new background music arrangements by Takaharu Ishimoto. So the original Crisis Core soundtrack was very heavy into rock and acoustic guitar. It's a very unique sounding soundtrack. So I'm really curious to see what this entirely new soundtrack is going to sound like. Is it going to still keep that rock spirit? Is it going to go more orchestral like 7 Remake? Or even 7 Remake was kind of all over the place for the best. You had some EDM techno type tracks, you had orchestral, you had like heavy metal rock tracks, you had, a wide range of genres in 7 Remake. So I'm wondering if Crisis Core might borrow from that as well and kind of give people a variety in regards to this soundtrack. So that's going to be really exciting to hear. And last but not least, we have full VO added to scenes that were previously text only. So in the original Crisis Core, you would obviously have your cutscenes where characters would speak and it was fully voiced, but then you would also have moments where you could walk up to a character, whether they be minor characters or major characters like Sephiroth or Angeal, and there would be sections where you had to read what the characters were saying. It was all entirely text-based. So now all of that text-based stuff is going to be fully voiced. So I think it's going to make for a much more streamlined experience. We don't have to stop and read. It's not going to slow the pace down. We're going to be able to really hear these characters emote and hopefully bring a new aspect to the dialogue. That's it for the updates. I am Curious Corduroy. That is the video. If you guys want more Final Fantasy related videos, I've been covering Crisis Core, 7 Remake, 7 Rebirth, as well as Final Fantasy 16 on my channel, so I'll leave links to those videos at the very end of the video. I know I'm not the greatest Final Fantasy content creator, but it's fun to really go over this stuff and kind of speculate. I even have a video speculating on what engine 7 Rebirth could potentially run on. Is it Unreal 4 or Unreal 5? So as usual, please leave your thoughts in your comments below on what you think of any of this news. What do you think of this new information in regards to a menu-based battle system? What are you personally hoping to see? I will see you guys in the next video, and please remember to always be excellent to one another.